The chat finna be lit up today.
That's all good.
That beehive come in. Look, that ain't my fault, focus. That's you.
That's all good. Let's go. I'm ready.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, my name is Chastity Buckley. I'm the host of Midnight R&B Edition, 𝐁𝐽𝐬𝐻 Midnight Love BET. Where I give all my flowers to all my R&B artists, singers, songwriters, and producers. But today, y'all know this day is a very special day for me because y'all know I'm part of the Beehive somewhere. You know, I'm a DC head, DC stamp, but I have to honor this legend, R&B and hip hop legend that's in the building today. I'm honored to have this man on the platform. He is a 5-time Grammy Award producer and mixer. I mean, got a sound out this world that nobody can duplicate. The one, the only, Mr. Focus. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Look, you know, today is the 20th anniversary of Beyonce's debut album, Dangerously in Love. How do you feel today? It's been like 20 years. How do you feel about all this?
I think it's great. It's one of the biggest songs in my catalog and one of the records that changed my whole trajectory. So it matters to me too.
Come on, Focus. Well, Focus, I know you rap, right? So you know you got them bars.
I got a couple, yeah.
Oh, I heard you, honey. You and your group Trap Pack, like, look, y'all ain't nothing to play with. I heard it today, and I was just very amazing. I know we're gonna get to talk about, your legacy and who you are, but I think it's very touching when you can come from a beautiful space of just hip hop, and not that you can tie in the R&B sounds and just marry them together. And that's what I love about you and everything.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. But before we do get started, I want to ask you, it's been like a crazy time in this pandemic. How have you been since the crazy pandemic has happened? How have you been?
Still healing, still processing, still learning the new normal, operating in the new normal. So I think that a lot of people, this is probably one of the first years that I truly shook the dust from my head and kind of got back into it. You know what I'm saying? 2020 was very harsh. 2021 was harsh, and 2022 towards the end, it kind of started leveling off, and I'm starting to feel like a bit more like myself, if you will. So I know that a lot of people were fragmented, they were broken, and unfortunately, you have to process. A lot of people have to process. We never gone through a pandemic, not in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Look, and like I said, I truly understand where you come from, because sadly I lost my dad, in 2020. So he was my last parent, that was living. But at the end of the days, I've learned that, life is so short, you have to take, everything in time. So don't never feel like you're alone. Like I truly, truly understand as a person, that been through life and circumstances, like I said, I always say this: when God wakes you up, he has you here for a reason,
That's right. That's right. And my condolences, because losing a parent, losing a loved one, there's nothing to shake a stick at. So my condolences.
Thank you so much for that. But we want to get back on the line and celebrate this album and celebrate your legacy, sir. So before we do get started, I know you were from New York, but I don't know what part of New York you're from. What part of New York are you from, and like where you represented from?
I just claim the whole East Coast. I was born in Manhattan. We grew up in Brooklyn. On Argyle between Beverly and Cortelyou, just in case, because a lot of people just call out Flatbush, but it was in the Flatbush area. We grew up in Bronx. I still got family in both boroughs, and we had a short stint in Jersey, and then I did a lot more growing up in Stamford, Connecticut. My dad moved us out there.
That makes sense. You come from music royalty. So I
appreciate it. Thank you.
Do we have to really come on? Bernard Edwards, the basis of all bases. Bernard Edwards,
I appreciate it. Yeah.
And then for you to be named after your father, I wanted to ask you, how was it growing up with your dad at the time, and how was it with your mother as well? How was it being in that household full of music? Being from a legendary, standpoint of what you are and what you do, but how was it growing up doing R&B music, and what was it made you inspired to do what you do?
My dad was my biggest idol and rival all at the same time. My dad didn't want me to make music. He didn't want me to go into the field at all. So he would kind of downplay my creativity, and it's cute, and push it off. But one of the biggest moments of my life, my best friend asked me this earlier, what is my biggest song? And nobody will ever hear it, but I made a song with my father. And I was Yeah, I was about 8 years old, and I wrote this song called "Tell About Love," and I bugged my dad to play on it. And my father got up out of bed. He was asleep, but he got up out of bed. He took some time and he played bass on it. It was really cool, but he didn't want me to do it. He didn't want me to do it.
Wow.
And just growing up in that household, I think that you know anybody that knows what the creative soul is in the midst of normality,
Yeah.
you're always going to have that opposition. And unfortunately, I was a black sheep of the family.
What?
Yeah.
Look, that's what's crazy, and folks, I can relate to that because that's how it was me. It's always the ones they call us the black sheep, but those are the ones that really just soar in life. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
for what you've done in music, I can't see that because at the end of the day, I think it's just your creativity that was just coming out. That is something that you were born into, but it's something that you
Mhm.
can't help. You know?
Well, it's still, at the end of the day, I appreciate that, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day, any black sheep is just the one that stands out. It doesn't
Period.
have to be negative. It doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
denoted as that. So I think a lot of people, when they hear black sheep, they just think that you're outcast or whatever. You're just different. You're
Yeah. You just
different.
different.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I express myself different. I explore myself different. I'm different.
Yeah. I think it's talented and it's amazing for you to keep your legacy going from your father and what you've
Yeah.
done. I think that speaks volumes because at the end of the day, it's like it's big because like I said, we know your dad has done everything. Remember, I hit you up and I told you your dad is the reason why we got Freak Nick. So
Freak nigga. Yeah. That was so crazy. I'd never heard that fact before. And I appreciate you for that. That was dope.
yeah, because it shocked me because they're getting ready to do this documentary. Jermaine Dupri's getting ready to do it, and for one of the founders said that they were inspired by your dad's song. That goes to show you, that some one little song, or not even just your song, but at the end of the day, that song was so
Yeah.
monumental to that it made a little party into
Yeah.
something bigger than what we knew in the '90s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for
Right.
what you did, your dad did for that, it was just super amazing. So now, since we are talking about who you are, now growing up with your dad and stuff like that, I know you were in a rap group called Tripex. So I wanted to talk to you about like how did you get your love for like hip hop? Did you go in that lane first before you went into the R&B, or how did that kind of all culminate about in 1992?
My whole life is about R&B. My biggest
Mm.
inspiration is, besides my father, is Prince and Stevie Wonder. So those that know me, anytime I mention my top five, it's Stevie Wonder, Prince, or Prince or Stevie Wonder, and then I go down the line. Hip hop was something that I started doing because the cats that I hung around with in Stamford, Connecticut, and in New York, they did hip hop. So I'm
Mm.
like, okay, I can produce. It's just music. You know what I'm saying? And to go into it lightly, I don't believe that music should have genres. I believe that
Preach.
music, you know what I'm saying? Music is an art form and we should be able to be formless. And so I wasn't going to let a genre stop me from creating. So
Right.
I just started making rap beats for my boys, and then it took off from there. And then I heard "Bring the Noise" from Public Enemy, and that was it. I fell in love with hip hop. That was a rap.
When I
Gangster.
heard that, right, and when I heard the Chopper thing, I said it gives me that element of the New York sound that y'all were kind of navigating to. And I was like, okay, then you have the boom chick. I was like, okay, I see him with the bars and stuff, and I see you on
Yeah,
the liner notes. And I was like, wow, this is really amazing. He really, really set a tone. So, like, was that your first like introduction to the music business when you did that 1992 thing with your group?
that was the first time that I got pressed on vinyl. Yes, that was the first time that we were signed on a label. That was the first time that I ever rapped on anything. Being honest, that was when I hear that song, my back crawls because I'm a stickler for timing, and I was
Oh
ahead of the beat. I was just like, oh my god! But yeah, that was all new for me. That was brand new.
man, I was jamming to that. Like that's something my cousin, because he's a huge LL Cool J fan. So something of that sound that I heard from that, I was like, oh yeah, my cousin would love something like this because he
Yeah,
loves New York music. Even though we're from Louisiana in the South, the music that y'all make up north is really monumental to what we do in the South. So I just love that. And I thought it was super dope. I was like, wait a minute, folks, I know you rapped on other people's songs, in your legacy, but I didn't know this was the first beginning of, how you
yeah,
started with music. So that is
yeah.
amazing. Did you feel any like how did you feel that you had it pressed at the time? Did you like tell your dad, or how was that feeling like?
Me and my dad were estranged by then. So a lot of that stuff in the '90s, it was, if you really even if you look at the liner notes, I wasn't going by my real name.
You want my
Um,
focus? Yep.
I was going by Focus, so that was the inception of me producing under the moniker.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first song that's on that single, he, the rapper that I was working with, the cat that was in Tripack with me,
Yeah.
he said this beat was made by Bernard. That was before I even gave him my name. Yeah, so it's like when he finally heard my name, he was like, "Okay, we'll call you that or whatever."
Yeah.
But yeah, I had the name since '91, and then
Mm.
when we came out, that's when I was like, no, I think I want to go by this. I don't want to go by Bernard.
Is it the reason why? Why is the reason why you named yourself Focus?
Um, my dad's voice used to ring out in my head. He constantly was telling me to focus on my music. I mean, on my homework,
Yeah.
focus on all the things that I'm supposed to be focused on. He was like, you're getting deterred too much. Like you're looking for something that I don't want you to look at. I need you to focus. And
Mm.
I was walking through. I think it was Brooklyn. I was in Brooklyn. I was walking through Brooklyn and I saw this big ad and it said the word focus in there. And I just kept looking at it. I was like, hold on. I came back home to Stamford, Connecticut, and I was hanging out with my boys. And I was like, what y'all think of Focus? And my boys were like, it's cool. I was like, I think I want that to be my name. And after that, it took on a life of its own. And it really does. It describes me to a T. Like I love music. I zone in. My work ethic, all of it is focused, and I really wanted to make a name for myself and not through my father.
And I
You
get it
know.
because even though you are the legacy is in your bloodline, the thing is it wasn't the point of you were trying to be like your dad. You wanted to be in your own right, and I respect that with Focus because if
Yeah.
everybody sees the connection, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you trying to be like?" No, a lot of
Well,
people.
no, I did. I mean, my whole entire the first part of my career, I wanted to be exactly like my father. Like,
Oh wow.
I when I wear my glasses, they're all tinted. These are my prescription glasses, but
Mhm.
they're all tinted. That's my nod to my dad. You know what I'm saying? So I've always wanted to be like my pops, but I needed him to see that I had legs of my own. I didn't
Right.
make my career because of him.
Him. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
that's all it was. Yeah.
So that's amazing that you did that in '92. So in '93, you moved to California. So how was that transition like going from the East Coast to the West Coast, and how did that come all about, and what was going on in '93 for you at the time?
I was working with a cat from New Rochelle,
Mhm.
and we produced some records on a group called Tall, Dark, and Handsome. And they were signed to a new label. And we, they wanted to cut the record. So I had the files. It was all on my ASR 10 at the time. And I flew out to LA and we had a great time with the group. I locked in with the group. And unfortunately, me and the guy that I was working with, we had a big falling out,
Yeah.
and I was stranded. Like I was stuck in LA. Yeah, he was the guy that got me out there. But then when we had the falling out, I literally just packed my stuff up and left his house, and I started staying with some of the guys from the group, and they really looked out for me. They looked out. They made sure that I was good, and I just started moving around and trying to piece together whatever my career was going to be.
Yeah.
I moved back to New York for a little bit, and then I met these cats when I came back out, and everything just kept rolling. Like the music was easier back then, though.
How
There
easy?
was, well, you got to remember that back in those days, to be in New York and be a New York producer, there were a million New York producers, but there
Mm.
weren't a million New York producers in LA. So it's like,
Oh,
okay, you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
I could do this. You know what I'm saying? I could take a little bit of LA, bring it out to I mean a little bit of New York, bring it out to LA, learn what LA is, bring that into my sound. And then later on I moved to Atlanta and I learned a little bit of stuff from Atlanta. So I just started throwing all this ingredient into my,
Mm.
my music and it took off from there.
So the blending of what you did, just being an understanding of the sound of music, you wanted to incorporate, but be different from everybody else of what everybody was doing at that time. That makes sense.
1,000%. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense, and that's why I love when you said your name Focus. Like you really were set in on what you wanted to do and what
Yeah.
sound you wanted to make sure that you did what you did. So I
Yes.
know in 1997 you did a song "Move Something." So how did that like? I was dying. Look, Focus, you got bars. You got bars on bars.
No, those are not bars. No,
Those are bars.
no. Now y'all will hear bars when I come out with my group. But
Hey, I know we're gonna talk about that. Yes.
yeah. Moving something was because of the cats that I met later on in my career in '93. So um when I was part of a group called the Lunatics, and we had a great relationship with the people over at Scotty Brothers, and then Scotty Brothers had a sub label called Street Life.
Okay.
And so I was in the group, I produced the beats, and then, for some reason they just were like, let's try something. Let's do a single deal. And so that's not really like moving something is not indicative of how I sounded,
Okay.
but it was literally like, okay, we got to make something that will work for radio. And if you listen to the way that I'm rapping and even the beat, it really there was a time in my life I wanted to be a bad boy so bad. So I was putting on my best Mace impression, and you know what I'm saying, and sounding like the Hitman. Like it was bad. But yeah.
Oh wow. Do you feel like, being in that transition, since you already had the flow of just rapping and stuff that was already kind of preparing you for what the sound and the beats that you were going to prepare for in the late 90s, or because you kind of seen that transition was kind of changing too at the time with 90s. So how did you go about, like, did you want to just, I guess with the hip hop thing, did you want to just go straight to be a producer?
I've always wanted to be a producer ever since I was 8 years old.
Okay.
So that was easy. But for some reason, my creativity wouldn't limit myself to just being a producer. Like there are times where you sit down and I'll just start making music and I'm like, no one's gonna understand this. So now I'll write a song. And then I'll sing the song and then I'll rap the song. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna just leave this on my hard drive. Let me put it out. So I don't want to be per se in the spotlight, in the limelight, but I love creating. I love making music. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
I hate when people say I am music and they just say it for the sake of, you know, argument, but it really is who I am. It's all I've ever known.
Okay, look.
Yeah.
And that, because you look, I'll say you are music, but you do it because you love it in your heart. And I always say music has to touch the soul. So when music touches the soul, that means it navigates and it reaches millions of people, and that's what you've done. And I respect that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. So now we're going into these late 90s. So I want to know, like, well, so like was your first big project that you got on to do, and then it kind of started to start your career as a producer in that realm?
It was big to me. I did this remix for an artist that was signed to MCA. Her name was Sharice Arrington, and the song was called Down With This. And it was just a remix, but it was the first time as a producer that I got accepted from a major label, and they put it out, and we got some radio play and things like that because the cast that I was rolling with worked at KJLH at the time, Jeff Gill and DJ Invisible Man. So, you know, the record was spinning, and we started getting some looks here and there, and then, you know, there's way more stuff. Like I was signed to My Conception and Grand Jury, and you know, there were things that just started my career. My career rolling. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So with that too, I know you got with Candy and did one of my favorite songs with her lead single. You know, that was the jam. Like that song was so big. I'm just that was a huge thing at the time. How did you feel when I think that took off for you too?
I got so excited when she got her artwork. Because when I got to Atlanta, just a short story, when I got to Atlanta, the first thing I did was Soleil. Okay. And so that's how I kind of locked in with Candy first, because the 456 record, and then so we were already in the same camp. I was with Boob Tube, that's me and Jason Weaver and his whole team, and then it was Shakespeare Productions, and then Red Zone, and we were all in the same studio. Right. So getting with Candy, we were locked in. Like that is my homegirl. Like even to this day, it doesn't matter whatever she's doing. If I hit her, she always responds, and she never has want Hollywood on me. She's never been too big to just be like, yo, folk, if you need me. So that's my homegirl to the death. Like I love her to death. So but yeah, when that record took off, I knew it was gonna do it because it was a newer sound. You know, it was a newer sound, and that whole tempo changing thing was big in Atlanta. So it was just it was great. Her message was right on time, and the melody was right on time. It all made sense.
Yeah, it made perfect sense because, like I said, they played that mug on the box so much, like it was in replay. I remember because, like I said, I was maybe 10 or 11 when that song came out, but I loved it from the break because obviously I knew it from Escape, and I didn't know they had this first. Because when you're young, you don't really know, but you can connect dots. So seeing that, I was like, wait a minute, now she's a solo artist, and then that song was it just had a catchy beat, and it sounded kid friendly, but you listen to the lyrics, it's not.
It's
like
not.
that.
But I'll tell you this much, man. She is a genius, but she's also a hard worker. Her work ethic is crazy. She did the video with a broken leg. And you would never,
I didn't even realize that till years later till y'all said that. I was like, broken leg, and then you see the cast, I'm like,
and she still did it. Yeah, she rocked out. She rocked out. She was like, I'm not missing this opportunity. This record's big. Let's go.
Man, and I feel like that being your gear star for that, and I didn't even realize this too. You did one of my favorite songs, Mary, Mary, I Sing. That is their best album.
Wow.
Catalog. My mom bought that album. I used to play it all the time when I was 12. I did not know you did that record.
Well, I didn't do the original. I did the remix. Yeah, I'm on the remix. I had BBJ on my remix. Yeah.
I'll include it because that was still like that whole it was just amazing. Like Mary, Mary, I feel like a lot of I'm realizing, focus, you really lays about your legacy, but not only that, you really gear start a lot of people's career. Like for Kenny to go solo and just still have that hit, and everybody still know that's amazing. I mean, Mary, Mary, the first start of their album, like it just blew up. Warren Campbell just like blew them up. So in that gear start, I'm seeing now in the 2000s, and I'm seeing all this. It feels like you're getting a big takeoff. So looking at that now, I see that you were with Destiny's Child. I didn't realize you were my favorite group. You did Spread a Little Love. I saw my friend JR. He said that's his favorite Christmas song off the album. I said, oh, okay.
Wow, that's big. That's big. Yeah.
He said his favorite song, like in that realm, and then it started to make sense to me in the 2000s. Like, is that how you kind of got close to Destiny's Child with the Beyonce era? Like, were you in that realm? Or are you getting in that pack?
It was that song that got on that album, and it was weird because if you listen to Spread a Little Love, it doesn't sound like a Christmas record.
It don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like she wrote a great record, and it was crazy that it even made it on there. But then from that album, it made it on the Rosie O'Donnell album. So I got heavy in the Columbia CBS label, like in the company. Okay. So I big shout out to Tone and Polk. They took me under their wing. Tybee Turman was the head A&R. She took me under her wing. So I was constantly in the building. Yeah. And Matthew Knowles was interested in me being one of Beyonce's producers. So he was like, look, I'm trying to put together a production team for Beyonce. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I listened to him, and that's how I got kind of locked in with B. Because the first time I met her at a Destiny's Child concert. Okay. And it was all love. But then as I met the people from Music World, Teresa and Kim Burse, big shout out to Kim, because Kim is the reason why I got on Dangerously in Love. Yeah.
Child. And then you did, look, and I'm going to tell you this, I bought the vinyl on New Year's Eve. You did Jennifer Lopez, Dear Bitch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's all in the same time span too.
I'm gonna be honest, that's my favorite song off that album.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Focus. When I tell you I love that album, like I'm gonna be honest, we know we're talking about Beyonce. That is like J-Lo's best album. I feel like that was her most personal, sentimental. Like that realm, you gave that sound of R&B for all the young ladies that will come through. That obviously J-Lo was already established, but Beyonce was getting ready to become a solo act. I feel like that sound you put in was very pure. Pure, but I have to tell you that's my song.
No, thank you so much.
That wasn't even the actual name of the song. I heard it wasn't even the actual name of the song.
I don't know what the original title was when we finally mixed the record. Yeah. It was slated as Dear Ben, so I don't know what the original thing was, but I think that if anything, if just listening to it, I would have thought that she would have called it You're Perfect. But she probably just ran with Dear Ben because that was the love of her life right then. So it was a very honest moment. I was just happy to be on the album.
It was, look, I was in love with that song, and then she was super in love at the time. So I'm like,
yeah, it all worked out. Yeah.
It worked out perfectly, and I just love it. So now, since we are talking about the most Grammy award winning Queen Bee herself, Miss Beyoncé Giselle Knowles Carter, I wanted to ask you, since you did this timeless classic cut, yes, I want to ask you, how did you get on the project? I think you kind of explained a little bit, but how was it working with Beyonce at the time in 2003? How was it? And I love seeing the behind the scenes of how y'all were working together. The chemistry, it looked so amazing. How was it at the time doing that, great song?
Being honest, like Beyonce she's a producer, songwriter, and artist. She's a jack of all trades. So there's really nothing that you need to do. I unfortunately, like, even with the Christmas song, it was more just sending records, and she just finished a record, and then I would go and mix it. You know what I'm saying? So for Yes, the craziest thing was it was a last minute lob. Like, this was a last minute Hail Mary, being honest. Yeah, Kim Burse hit me and was like, "Yo, B wants some music from you. Can you send me a CD? Can I get a CD of music?" She's still writing, but she was right at the tail end of the album. And so Kim told me that she got the CD to Beyonce before she got on a plane. She was about to travel. And the very first song on my volume that I gave to Kim was Yes. That was the first track. So I think it had my tag, and then it went right into that track, and the rest is history. I didn't hear the song until I had to mix it, and I was just like, "You got to be kidding me!" And Kim was like, "You made it."
That song's so sexy.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, and the funny thing about it is, and thank you for all of the research that you're doing on this song, because I didn't realize. I don't sit there and make music to find out how people like it. I just make music. And so to see 21 Savage singing the record, to see, like, it's so funny because there's like a few videos and he's like really going in and singing the parts and the changes.
You love that song.
Like, yeah. So it's like, to see people appreciate the music, that's my heart is just overflowing,
Even like, I'm gonna be honest, like I said, when I got this album when I was like 14, I was excited because it was Destiny's Child, Beyonce, and I was so excited. But listening from beginning from end, it was like a no skill for me. And I feel still 20 years later, I still feel this way, because when I first heard it, I had to kind of get used to Beyonce being solo. But for me, it was a group for her. I feel like this was her most soulful album. It was so sexy, but at the same time, she's letting the man know she wants to be respected, and I love that, because folks, you gave her that,
Yeah.
And I was just like, damn, this song's so sexy, and the beat is so like haunting. It had like that record scratch, and I was like, what were you mixing, folks? Like, were you trying to make something R&B hip hop but more slow, or you were just making it something to where it can fit her voice?
Everything. No, I didn't make the track for Beyonce. That's what I'm saying. I don't make tracks with artists in mind. I just make music. You know what I'm saying? So that was part of my catalog. And Beyonce, at this time, this is her biggest debut, her biggest album to date still.
Period.
And yeah, so for her to turn around and to listen to my music and understand it, and to know what to write on it, because it's unorthodox if you listen to it. It's just an unorthodox. I made the guitars backwards. I put the analog scratching on purpose because I wanted it to feel like an old record.
That's what it felt like. It felt like an old school record. That's
exactly right. So I just wanted it to feel like somebody needle dropped it and it was just an old record. I made sure every record that I've ever done, I make sure my drums snap. Because that's where you get most anytime you're around your peers or whatever, that's how you get that ugly face. They want to nod, you know what I'm saying? So anytime that I make my music, I'm making it with the hopes that people are impacted by it. I want it to hit hard. I don't ever do something with soft drums, ever.
It's so sexy, and I'm still saying
Thank you.
That is man, that song is so beautiful and timeless. But I want to read you some quotes too, because I've had some quotes from Billboard and Vibe. They talked about this record a lot. But also too, I don't know if you know this. Did you know that this is Smithsonian Museum? If I'm saying it right, Smithsonian Museum, the National History Museum. They actually have this album cover at their museum.
Oh, no way. That's crazy.
And I think it's amazing for that to be, Beyonce has had a lot of albums, but for this to be as an artifact.
Yeah.
And that museum speaks volumes, you know, and then,
It
you know,
does.
and then I don't know if you heard, like I said, the comic book, they getting ready to do a comic book. Marvel.
I saw that. Yeah.
I
saw
know that had to shock you because for that album to be so timeless and now to be in comic books is now it's speaking to a younger generation, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want to
And
read
then
this quote. Oh, go
I
ahead.
just want to tell you, like, even so, like the record itself is taking on a new life with the newer artists and newer producers. So it's, yeah, you're right. It's really dope.
I mean, you got sampled. I mean, look,
Nah,
let's be real.
that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Everybody does give it. So I want to read you some quotes. So 5 years ago, when Billboard had did the Beyonce's ranking of her debut album, Dangerous in Love, they ranked your number. They ranked your song number 9. So I want to read you this quote. So they said, taking influences from Janet Jackson's Let's Way Wild, Beyonce's not afraid to knock some sense into her man on the pro-abstinence anthem. Yes, that's what they call it. The lyrics are sure to resonate with any woman who's ever dealt with an impatient man, especially when Beyonce sings about showing an ungrateful lover to the door after she says moves too slow. I love that. And another quote, they said Beyonce's Dangerous Love. Now this was a vibe. So this one, they ranked your song number 10.
Oh, wow.
They said, playing like a slow jam sequel to Destiny's Child's No, No, No. This track is a subtle but firm statement on not being a yes woman. Cooing about the empowerment of saying no for all the ladies to feel heard. Beyonce makes a slight feminist move. So how do you feel about that?
We all know who Beyonce is.
Period.
She doesn't have a beehive for nothing. And I would never get on the wrong side of their stinger at the end of the day. But when it comes down to it, it just shows back in the day, she's one of the last superstars. One of them. There were still a few. I don't want anybody to debate that because we're talking about superstars. We're talking about mega global superstars, and she's one of the last. And I think that for her to understand her platform and to bring certain messages to the forefront the way that she did, that wasn't a me thing. Beyonce could have done that with anybody's track. I'm just blessed that she did it with mine. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the truth. She was what she was before I had anything to do with that record, and I'm just glad to be a part, you know.
I just love that your song is getting talked in Billboard, because for Billboard and Vibe magazines to really stand out on this song, yes, it's going to show. And then it tied back to Destiny's Child, which I was really happy when I seen it. I was like, oh my God, Destiny's Child. But the whole aspect of it was to be empowering, to be respectful, to learn how to be a woman, but not even that, to have that beautiful, you can tell that old school sound. It showed that it was a loving record for us to understand that we have to respect the past, but now that comes to the present and make sure that the message is still conveyed. And I love that Beyonce did that. And for what you did on that record, like I played, I was 14. I remember Christmas time in 2003, me and my family, we were going somewhere in the city, and my cousin, she had the city, and she was like, we finna play Beyonce. I'm like, yay. We played that car from the beginning to the end, folks. And I'm telling you, I had my 2 7-year-old cousins singing those songs.
Wow.
So when you have stuff like that that's hitting 7-year-olds, and I'm 14, my cousin's like 30, so we all family. But if they're singing the song, that goes to show you that you made an impact, and I'm proud of you for that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Queen.
Thank you. Yes, it's still sexy.
I appreciate that.
It's so sexy. I just love the song, and I think what Beyonce did at the Live and Women, and a lot of people don't even realize, because a lot of people didn't know she did this. I'm like, yeah, y'all get that DVD. She performed this song before. I wish she could perform it now, during the Renaissance. But hey,
I think that right now where she is, I appreciate that she's not performing it, and I'll tell you why.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she is a grown woman.
I agree.
She's not, you know what I'm saying? So right now, to show growth, you have to grow past certain levels. There's no reason for anybody in her life to disrespect her. She's the queen bee. So at the end of the day, she don't have to tell somebody no. You're going to come and step correct. And that's what her whole message is now. So it makes sense. The first time I say no, it's like I never say yes. That's young.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you better come correct. And I just appreciate the growth.
Man, focus, you dropped so many gems. I'm done. That is so true, and I wish now in today's society that could be like that. Even though Beyonce has already had this record, like I wish now the message can still be like that. And I feel like it still can be. You know, if people just bring it to the forefront. You know.
Yeah.
But for me, learning about this album 20 years ago, you really opened the doors for a lot. I mean, she literally got a 10-year contract from Pepsi. They really believed in her. So for Pepsi to give her a 10-year contract at the time, Dangerous in Love was getting ready to come out, you really opened the doors for her a lot. Like, obviously, she had doors open, but as a solo artist, you really opened that door for her to really know that she can navigate in all endorsements. And I feel like, you know, for Pepsi to believe in her at that time, that goes to show you, you know, she really was making a lane for herself. And it was really amazing. And I love it.
Yeah, I think that, you know, and I appreciate your accolades. I really, really do from the bottom of my heart. But I am so I am so truthful that Beyonce made me. Beyonce, like, you have to understand that Matthew Knowles and that whole music world machine, they made Destiny's Child, and Beyonce was the, you know, the engine that was running Destiny's Child. Let's keep it a buck. So to be involved in anything that she was doing at the time, you had no choice but to bring first your A game, but second, you had to come in there humble. I remember when I got, and I'm giving you something that I've never given anybody. I remember when I saw the I lost you.
I'm sorry. I'm back. You good. You good. Somebody trying to call me. Cut him off. You good. You good.
I remember when I got the credits, and this is literally the beginning of my career, and we're starting to go up, and I'm sitting here and I read the credits, and it's produced by Beyonce, and my name was second. And my ego jumped up. I was like, oh, nah, because this is my record and this, that, I don't know. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait, produced by Beyonce and Focus? I'm good. I signed off on I signed off on that. I was just like, I'm good. That's cool. And the thing about it is, it's not a matter of who goes first in the liner notes. It doesn't, I'm like, yo, I'm coupled in with Beyonce.
Period.
Like, I'm like, good, yeah. And then I looked at the writer notes, and it's Sean Carter and Beyonce Knowles. And what? I'm good. I'm good. I don't care what my name is. You could have been like, yo, this dude just came in and brought me juice. The juice bringer Focus. I'm in there though. So I think that a lot of ability started to really I fed that instead of my ego. And that was one of the first things that I was like, oh man, I could have really messed things up. I could have messed it up. And I chose not to. I'm like, man, I'm just honored to be a part. I literally was like, I'm just honored to be a part, bro.
And look, 20 years later, look what happened.
Yeah.
Now you see why, you know, and I love that. And then for this album to be 6 times platinum, that goes to show you, like last year went 6 times platinum. I wanted to go diamond, honestly. I'm gonna be biased. I wanted to go diamond. But for the most part, for this album to go 6 times platinum, that means you did something. I'm really proud.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, again, I love the accolades, but this is Beyonce. She put the work in. That record, that entire project had gems, like literal records that will constantly, the moment that they come on, will set the world on fire. So at the end of the day, it's wonderful. And I'm just finding out, like, literally because of the research that you've been doing, I started looking into the album. 11 million worldwide. I didn't know that it even resonated like that. So I'm about to change this plaque. I'm about to change it. I'm telling you. I'm about to change it. I'm gonna get the other one. Yeah.
So diamond worldwide. Period.
Hey.
Okay.
That's right.
Look, yes, is that one, but I do agree with you. And like I said, it takes a team to really come together. And I'm proud that you definitely are giving Beyonce the love. But I know for me on my platform, it's the people behind the scenes that made her who she is, and that's why I can give you respect. So I know I'm just talking about these timeless hits, and I've got to tell you that one of my favorite songs, "Respect the Conglomerate," with Busta Bust. Like, yes, that song was dope. So I'm just
thank you so much.
But I wanted to ask you, what is the key to making a hit record? Since I'm talking about all your timeless hits, what is the key to making a hit record? And if you know that, what is your favorite hit from your catalog?
I believe and everybody's going to debate it because everybody has their own answer. I believe that there's no such formula to making a hit record. I believe that there's a approach, and in that approach you have to be vulnerable and there
Yeah.
has to be connectivity. A lot of people are writing from what they think everybody wants to hear. They're writing from this place that not everybody can connect to. I can't
Yes.
connect to a millionaire. I can't connect to, you know, if you're talking to cats in a recession and you're
Yeah.
talking about, well, I got this money and I got, all right, cool. Well, I'm gonna go to the club and dance to it, but that's not, I'm not connected with him.
No.
You know what I'm saying? The reason why Drake wins so big, even when he flosses just a little bit, Drake is super vulnerable when he talks about women. He's super
I was about
vulnerable.
to say women. Women is your audience.
Yeah, but no matter what, he's super vulnerable. Like he goes into a place where normal rappers don't go.
Yeah.
And he's very honest about it. And so at the end of the day, that's the reason why Usher's album Confessions was such a big hit. It
Thank
was transparent. It was it was organic and it evoked real emotions. It's not going to make me mad when I listen to it. And if it does make me mad, at least it's an emotion and I can understand it and start the process. I don't think that there's a formula because there are some hits that I'm just like, really?
right.
You know what I'm
Now.
saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's not a formula. I just think that if you find a way to connect, if you find a way to really bare your soul in a record, it's going to transcend time and space and genres and race and creed, and it just takes on a life of its own. And
Yeah.
I think that this goes in. I'm sorry if I'm being long-winded, but I think that this goes into the lack of creativity. People have to get back to the creativity part, you know,
God.
and not be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just make what feels good. Stop thinking about what charts well. Stop
I
thinking about the top 40, you know?
I agree, folks. Look. I was hearing an interview from Sean from Boys the Man like 2 years ago, and I remember he did an interview with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and they was in Clubhouse, and this guy was like, I guess he was like a producer or something, and pretty
Mhm.
much he was. I guess they had a conversation about bridges, and the guy was like, "We don't do bridges." He was like, and Sean was like, "What?" When I heard that, that made me mad. I was like, "Oh no, no, no,
Yeah.
no." So it's like the energy they're getting fed in or something that is being told to them. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you cut off bridges that cuts off like a baby song? I just don't understand none of this stuff. I really don't.
They're cutting off bridges, and I can't speak for all producers, but there is a certain group of producers that are cutting off the extra work because they want to get it easy.
No.
And that's the only thing. Like these are not all bad people. I think a
Yeah.
lot of them just want to they're driven by the bag. They're driven by the fame, they're driven by the notoriety, and they want to get it quick
Yeah.
and easy. And it's like, man, to do a chord change or to do if some of them are just really slave to the samples that they have, you know, so they
I noticed
can't, yeah, they can't do bridges. So it's unfortunate, but it is still, we have an art form that is a God's gift.
yeah.
And everybody from the stick figurines to the Picassos, it all has a place to exist.
Correct.
You feel what I'm
I believe
saying? So
I believe that.
unfortunately, the stick figures have the loudest voice right now. You know what I'm saying? And the Picassos, they're over here working on their craft. I'll leave it there.
So I agree. And you know what? And that's making me
I'll
think
leave it
about the producer
there.
and beat maker. right, folks. And you know what's making me think about the producer and beat maker? I've seen a lot of, well-known producers, well-known like yourself, longevity producers, and they feel like producer and beat maker are two different things. Do you believe they are two different things?
No, they are.
Oh, wow.
No, they are. There are so many debates because of ego and pride. When
Yep.
somebody really wants to learn what a producer is and when they want to learn what a beat maker is, then they'll open up their eyes and see that I made the beat, but this guy made my record sound the way it sounds. And that's normally the engineer. A lot of these cats are, they lock in with an engineer because the engineer is making them sound good. So they
Mhm.
get to call themselves producers. But the truth is, I mix my records.
Oh,
You know what I'm
mixer.
saying? Like, yeah, but but that's a blessing too because Dre didn't have to let me do that. I mix my records. I know how I want my records to sound. This is not a drag and drop, or I'm just using plugins and just pressing, whatever presets. I really want to know that I can make a sound and you guys feel what I feel. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So there's a fingerprint to it. And I do believe that a lot of these beat makers, because of that debate, are stepping their game up because they're like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do a little bit more. Like, you're calling me out, and I don't like that. Don't call me out in my session. I got to do something more. I got to produce a vocal. I got to do. So I'm happy that a lot of them are stepping to the plate.
And Dr. Dre definitely kind of gave me that. And I forgot to talk about that. Dr. Dre definitely kind of being with that aftermath. How was it being in that creative space with, Dr. Dre at the time when you did get with him?
I'm still here, and
Right, you did two Hurts albums.
Yeah, I'm still working with Dre. Dre is my big brother. He's my greatest mentor.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the lessons that I've gotten from him are so timeless that when I do sit next to him and I just tell him like thank you, like and then he gets blindsided by that. Like he's like, man, stop. But I'm like, no, thank you. Like, you don't understand what you've done for me.
That's right.
Because I can listen to my records pre-aftermath and then listen to them now, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm glad that didn't come out.
But when you study your craft and you keep going, I think a lot of people just like to throw stuff, and that's why I'm like, no, keep going. I'd rather you work hard for what you do.
Yeah, but then sometimes they see it hits. And no disrespect, because I want to give respect where respect is due. Soldier Boy was a phenomenon. You know what I'm saying? And he came out with that Superman record, and he really did it in his garage, and it wasn't really mixed the way that we talk about mixing in it. You know what I'm saying? But he put it out, and it hit. So now these kids are like, oh, I don't have to be in a big studio. I don't have to do it that way. I don't have to. And he really did start a lot of that mind change. You know what I'm saying? Like he is really he's a pioneer.
He is.
And yeah. So I give him respect. You know what I'm saying? I would never be disrespectful, but it did take away a little bit of the crafting part of what people were building. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, there's an easier way to do it. I don't have to do it that way.
And
you know what I'm saying? Well, unfortunately, there's always going to be that. AI is now everybody's. You know what I'm saying? Like everything in the world is easier now because of AI. You know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be something that's going to make something else easier.
I agree, but nothing should be easy. If the thing about it is, if the work is not going to be longevity, that's how I feel.
1,000%.
Just saying, but But you didn't ask my question. What was your favorite hit from your catalog? Or you don't have one?
Oh my God. Favorite hit from my catalog. I haven't made it yet.
I hear that from a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all say that.
I haven't made it yet. Some of my favorite.
Out of all the records you sold, out of all that, you say no.
I haven't made it yet. I love the records. They've made me who I am.
Yeah.
But truly expressing myself through my craft and it being received, it hasn't happened yet.
I respect that.
It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, it hasn't happened yet.
It's about 3 or 4 y'all didn't tell me this time. I haven't made my hair. I'm like, what? I'm like,
I haven't made it yet.
Icons, legends, but I get it. It has to be within you.
Yes, and on top of that, I think that you can ask a Timbaland, you can ask Pharrell, you can ask Dre, you can ask all these artists that have made artists.
Yeah,
I haven't made an artist. I've worked with artists.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? But Marsha had a name, Busta had a name, Beyonce had a name, J-Lo had a name. Everybody I've worked with they've had past and they've had names. And we've made moments. We've made music and we made moments. But I haven't made my Doggy Style with a Snoop Dogg. I haven't made my Marshall Mathers. You know what I'm saying? Like the moment that happens, now I can turn around and be like, oh, it's this one.
What question? What if you get that one from, like, say for instance, I don't know, just saying something. Say Beyonce, you want to get back with Beyonce again, and you make that magic. You think that, or you just pretty much you want somebody that's really like hungry,
I want to
dedicated,
build. I want to build.
building.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes
Yeah, I want
sense
to
then.
build. Like at the end of the day, if you turn around and you walk in to any bakery and they're cooking a recipe that they found online,
Yeah.
they didn't do anything. But then when you're cooking a recipe that you made and everybody loves it, there's nothing like going to that bakery. I want to build it. I want people to feed on what I'm bringing them. And I want it to be honest, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are like, well, he ain't the guy because, you know, he got made by the people that he was producing. Okay, but you didn't get on that project.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't discredit me because I got blessed to get on that project. Don't discredit me. You know what I'm saying? Beyonce has not made a record that sounded like yes
Nope.
since.
Nope. Show have it.
Since.
Sorry. Look,
Yeah.
respect it, but ain't no.
No, but it's not even
It's
a
not a diss though. It's
disrespecting.
not
It's
a
just,
diss.
yeah,
It
it
ain't no
was that
diss.
was like a moment for me and her.
Right.
Like she didn't do another record like Naughty Girl. That was
No.
a moment for her and that producer.
Correct.
She had records that kind of felt like Crazy in Love, but her and Rich Harrison, that's a moment for her and Rich. At the end of the day, those things matter. Like she locks in with somebody and locks in hard.
She
She
showed
doesn't turn around and go, okay, let me duplicate that on my next album with this other guy.
it.
No, she's gonna lock in with the next producer, the next set of producers.
And it makes sense, folks, because for me, when I'm thinking about it, and I don't know, it's clicking in my head right now. I felt like without Yes, we wouldn't have Flawless. You know what I'm saying? That
I think
empowerment. You know what I'm saying?
I the only reason why I can say
I would
this,
say lyrically.
no, okay,
Okay.
I can say this undoubtedly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes was the last record to get on the album. Kim told me that. Yes.
Right.
So the entire album was done. Kim told me this. Kim was like, yo, you made it at the last minute.
Praise God.
Yes. Okay. So at the end of the day, like
Wow.
Beyonce was still, I think that what she did was she took that record
Mm-hmm.
and she put it into the story.
It's a story in that album, yo.
Yes. So she made my record fit her story. That's all she did. Yeah.
Because
That's
what happens?
she did.
We, myself, and I, boom.
Yeah.
Them records, right? Oh, the gems of the album. Look, I know we getting almost to the end of the interview, but the gems of the album, focus. Oh, those empowerment records, she needed those. Even though obviously we have our Survivor and all that stuff, but those, that was the story of the album. It makes perfect sense. If you want to listen to the whole body of work, she told the story. I caught that this morning.
B is a queen.
I've listened to 20 years, but when I was like, this is a story.
Yeah, B is a queen. She at the end of the day, if you're gonna be a queen, you got to put down your decrees. You got to put down the things that you're standing for. You got to talk about what you're going to talk about from your platform. And B is a queen. So when she turned around and she called herself Queen B, there's a reason why she gets away with that, because she really stands by what she did.
She does.
You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
She really does. She really does. So now we're going to talk about your current project, since you got the group now. Congratulations on that in 2023.
Thank you.
So I want to know what you're doing now in 2023 and what's going on with you and your legacy, what you got coming up.
Working with Dre still. Honored to, still be in the camp, building with the ICU. That's his production company. Or production team, I'm sorry. So I'm part of that. And we're finishing Snoop Dogg's album. He's been, Dre's been talking about it. So I feel comfortable saying it. So him and Snoop have been talking about it. The album is called Missionary. Okay. And of course, because the first one was called Doggy Style. You gotta flip it.
So they trying to bring this, not bring it back, because I was that's the class, that's something you can't touch. But are they trying to bring something in 2023 with hip hop? Because it's the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Are they trying to bring something important?
I think that kind of movement makes everything bigger than what the real focus should be. No pun. But the real focus is the fact that Dre produced Doggy Style. That's the only record that he produced for Snoop. So now the man that helped make Snoop and the sound and the rapper that helped make Dre, they're back together. That's what it's about. You feel what I'm saying? So
that
now,
makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? This is really another moment in time. And perfectly it'll be received the way it's supposed to be, because it sounds amazing to me.
Oh, beautiful, folks. I'm
But
excited. Like this, and it is perfect. It's the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Like this makes perfect sense on why things are, gelling together the way it is. I mean, it's all in God's time, and that's how I feel about it. It's all in God's time.
Amen. And then, just even with the 50th thing, like my dad's song is resurging a lot, the Rapper's Delight and Good Times. So yeah, it's a lot of good things.
Let's
and
be
now
real. Your dad is the reason why hip hop it is what it is, but I'm gonna keep it
I'm not gonna say that. The fathers of hip hop, Kool Herc and them,
Kool
they
Herc,
gave,
not them, but the sampling.
It wasn't sampling, they replayed, but I'm gonna tell you this.
Okay.
The truth is my dad is a godfather in hip hop.
Period. That's why I was. That's
okay?
why I wanted to say.
He's a godfather. Yeah.
Because
he's
I'm from
a
Louisiana.
godfather.
Y'all from New York, so I don't want no smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, New Yorkers will be seeing me at the airport, laying like, "Yo, son, you was talking." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they get ready to have that Diddy and look Jermaine Dupri thing, so that's about to be.
I know. I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh Lord.
But just to be loose about my group, we're called Read the PDF. Read the PDF stands for Porter, Them Joints, and Focus. Read the PDF because it's smart music. It's going to be informational. We're trying to bring our likeness to music. We're bringing substance back to music. It's hip hop. It's R&B. It's whatever we want it to be. It's genreless. It's just us acting a fool. And our first offering to the world is going to be the 26th. We have a song coming out called Bye, and it's the first record. It's the first record on the album, the actual project, but the song is called Bye, and I'm really excited to see how people. It's not regular. It's not regular.
I don't like regular. I like but with meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, it definitely has meaning, but this is more geared towards the music appreciator. This is not, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not like, let's put it on and dance.
Yeah,
like, you're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is an experience. I want somebody to get immersed in what we're trying to do and to understand it and find gems and find, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're really making a beautiful piece of art. And I'm doing it with two people that I really highly respect and love working with, you know what I'm saying? With Porter and them. So this is gonna be fun. Really fun.
Well, I'm excited. Yeah. Like it's just
Thank
so
you.
amazing to me because what you've done in this industry, folks, is just timeless. And
thank you
I've
so
learned
much.
So much from you because me and you had a conversation. I was like, look, folks, I would never disrespect nobody's legacy. Because one thing about me, if I'm going to make sure I honor somebody and give them their flowers, I have to make sure I do my research and what you done.
I appreciate you.
For
thank
this,
you so much.
Everything, it just means so much to me, and I'm super proud of you. So I got two more questions to ask you. So The question is, today is the 20th anniversary of Beyonce's debut. My number one, I'm being biased, my number one, yes. Album. If you had to describe one word about this beautiful timeless album, Dangerously in Love, what one word would you describe it?
Honest.
Go ahead.
Yeah, honest. I believe that it was organic and honest. Yeah.
I'm gonna say electric.
Ooh, that's good.
Fire. When I say that's this good. Is Beyonce, Giselle knows before Carter, but Beyonce, we got everything. This album has so many gems. I feel like this is one of her most soulful albums out of her whole catalog, to me personally, because everything you did for her, she was vocally amazing. The sound, the production, everything was just really perfect at that time. What music was going through at that time in the 2000s. Like we had Rich Harrison with Crazy in Love, You with Yes. I mean, Fanatic with Speeches. Like these are gems. I mean, Sky Stores with Naughty Girl and Me, Myself, and I. These songs really, really created a groove for her. And like you said, it was super honest because we obviously knew she was in love with Jay-Z. I know that for sure. But I feel like at that time for her, she didn't have to say it. It was in the music. So I want people to understand, like, people don't have to really tell their love life to tell who they're with. If you listen to the music, it will make perfect sense,
Yes.
And for me, I didn't really care if she was or wasn't, even though I already knew at a young age. But for me, I just loved the way she just really carried herself by herself. And not even that she was a force to be reckoned with. And 20 years later, she's still a force to be reckoned with. And I'm super proud of that.
That's right. That's right. There you go. Yep.
So my last question to you, folks, is since you've been in this beautiful music industry for over 30 years, I wanted to ask you, what advice do you have for any up-and-coming producers, songwriters, anybody who is really, really trying to make it into the music industry from versus where you were back then until now?
Consistency, show up authentically, show up organically, stop trying to show up like someone else.
Preach.
There's really nothing more I could say that would be different or resonate different with anybody. A lot of these kids have to be creative, and they have to learn that maybe this part of it, maybe the music part of it is not your calling. Maybe it's something else. Maybe
Right.
you are bad on the visuals, or maybe you understand how to make, you know what I'm saying? Be honest with yourself, be accountable, show up authentically, and stop trying to look at it as a bag, because it takes a minute to get to the bag. And
Period.
even if you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you get the bag the first time out, now you got to maintain that. And it's hard to do that. So at the end of the day, you really just want to be authentic with it. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a beautiful gift if you treat it right. It is.
Yeah. Oh, Lord, Focus, you are truly, truly amazing. And everything you've done in this music industry, I'm truly and honored, proud for you. And, even though your dad opened the blueprint for his legacy, you made a blueprint for your legacy, and it's timeless. And for me, talking to you 20 years later, my 14-year-old self listening to Beyonce's debut album, not even having her DVD at 15, and just my cousin buying her fragrance when I was 15 for Christmas for me, it go to show you that Beyonce means a lot to me, and this debut album means so much to me because what you did. And yes, is a timeless song, a timeless album. It's just this song right here really, really was very empowering, and I'm very, very honored and proud for you to have you on the platform.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Look, I probably listen to 21 Savage singing off key.
Right. Right.
And y'all, and this was the most amazing, beautiful interview, and I'm honored to have this 5-time Grammy Award producer and mixer, hip hop and R&B, the one, the only, the legend, Mr. Focus. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Y'all have a good one.